In this video, we're going to be placing the project's lifts or elevators. Now, you probably already know that in order to place the lifts, you will first need a lift family to load into your project, readjust its dimensions, and then place it where you need. So it's very simple, but what's important is that you find the proper family that fits your project to begin with. And what I mean by having a proper lift family is one that already has the parameters you need for your project. So first make sure that it's not a line-based family, because most of the time the lift families are line-based and are visible only in the plan. Whereas we're going to need those lifts to be visible in the 3D views as well, and so we're going to need to be able to control the lifts from all sides. Now this actually depends on your own project and what you need to see of your lift. Sometimes even having a two-dimensional lift would suffice, and might even be the better option. But personally, I don't really recommend that, and I suggest that you try to use three-dimensional lift families as much as possible, so you could have them in your 3D views. But still, it all depends on your own decision. So anyway, it is best that you try to look up a couple of lift families and download them, and basically just have the ones with the better details. Because in some families, we might only have the elevator door without the inner details or any other possible error. So just try to download the best lift family, which also preferably has the details. And don't worry about it, you can always find one. So right now I'm going to go ahead and use a lift family that I've downloaded already, which is actually a good one to use. Let me also show it to you in 3D, and here it is. I'm going to include this one's file with the attached files, so you could use it for your own projects whenever you need. We also usually use this family for the lifts, and in case the lift or its car needs different details, we can always go and try to edit this family. So as you can see here, if I open the plan, we will find that lift family sketched in detail. We've got the elevator shaft with non-two-dimensional doors, and we've also got some other parameters that we need. So it's pretty simple. We're only going to have to load this into the project, and then we're going to place it where we need. Now you know the drill, that each lift you place is going to automatically sit on the wall, and if there's no wall, or more specifically no host for it, then nothing will be placed. Now here's a note, you see some of the families that you download may not have this restriction, as in they may not be hosted, which you could place wherever you like because they're also two-dimensional. So make sure you check that little detail first. But as for this family we're using right now, it automatically identifies the walls and shows us a preview. Usually when you try to place these lifts, the door frame will be automatically cut out from the wall. Now before I place this one, I'm going to have to readjust its dimensions, because as you can see, its dimensions don't match what I need for my plan. So I'm just going to cancel this, and we're going to take a look at the labels. You can see it says the width of the elevator shaft is 2 meters, and the length for this side is 2.5 meters. So basically we're going to need an elevator shaft that is 2 by 2.5 meters. But that's not the only important part, because we also need the dimensions of the lift car. So I'm going to go ahead and measure the dimensions of the car as well to see what we need. It's 2.20 meters by 1 meter point 30. So the shaft is going to be 2 by 2.5, and the car is going to be 2.20 by 1.30. Now I'm going to go to component, and then I'm going to duplicate this lift family. For instance, for its name, I'm going to put the project's name, which is Kimia. Actually, let me disable my caps lock. There we go, so Kimia. Followed by, let's say, lift 250 by 200. I'm just going to put down the shaft's dimensions, but you could even put the car's dimensions instead. For example, here you could put 220 by 130. Alright, so now we get to readjusting the values. Before we make the changes, we're going to turn on the preview. And now we can check to see what the parameters of this family do. Now the first thing I'll do is I'm going to set the view to floor plan, so we could recognize the parameters better. Now you see when you click on each one of these parameters, over here in the preview you can see where that parameter lies. There you can see what the value of that parameter is covering. So for example, here we've got this shaft car gap, which goes from here to here. And the next one we've got is the shaft width. So as you can see, this one is this dimension. Now, what was it supposed to be for our plan? We had 2. So that's what I'm going to put. And the next one is the shaft depth, or that height we measured. This one should be 2.5. And next, you're going to be needing the door width. Let's see, I didn't measure it before. So I'm going to head over to the AutoCAD file. And I'm going to measure it there. For that, I'm going to grab the distance command. And then I'm going to measure from here all the way across to this point. So the lift door width is going to be 1 meter. Therefore, I'm going to go over here and change it to 1. That makes it 1 meter. And as for the door height, you can go ahead and find the value for it based on your own project's type schedule. For ours, it's going to be 2.20. So I'm going to put 2.2. And after that, we get to the lift's car parameters. So we're going to be needing the car's width value, for which we had 1.30. And its depth was 2.20 meters. Now we've also got a car offset, which doesn't really matter here, but you can readjust if you like. So now we click OK. And as you can see, now the dimensions of this lift family completely match what we need in the plan. So we're going to go ahead and click to place them. Like so. We've got one over here. And there are some other lifts down here. Now it is possible that the dimensions for this part would vary, but here we can see that this one's also 2.5 by 2. Let's also measure the car. It's 1.30 meters by 2.20 meters. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same type as before. One goes here, and here's the second one. Now, after placing them, I'm going to have to reposition the door. So I'm going to select it and move it down a little bit using the down arrow key in the keyboard until it's completely aligned with what's drawn in the plan. As you can see, this one's also a bit off, so I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to readjust the first 2 doors as well. This one's almost aligned, but still I'm going to move it slightly to the left. And do the same thing for this one. So by far we have placed the project's lifts. Now if I go over to some other level, I would have to again place the lifts in there. So be careful and don't think that if you place the lifts for one level, that would be enough. You need to place the lifts wherever you see them in all levels. Now something you could do is you could group all of these lifts together along with the walls they're placed on, and that's actually something we commonly do for the projects. Then we could just easily copy and paste them in the other levels, or you could even group all the lifts in one level and paste them in another. So it makes no difference. You could even group the 4 lifts we've got in this level and copy them in the other because their locations are all the same. But you're going to also need to pay attention because some lifts don't go all the way to the top floor. So you'll have to know where to stop and just follow along with your AutoCAD file. Now I'm going to make this family available for you to use, so you can go ahead and use this lift family for your projects. So this is how the lifts I've placed have turned out. And if you pay close attention, you will see that this family also has the buttons and the floor arrows above the doors. So overall, this is a pretty good lift family that you can go ahead and use into your projects.